We begin today's show in Baltimore, where divers have recovered the remains of 2 of the 6 workers who were missing and presumed dead after the Key Bridge was struck by a massive cargo ship Tuesday and collapsed under them without warning. The men were migrants from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. They were filling potholes and had reportedly taken a break in their vehicles. This is Maryland State Police Superintendent Roland Butler.
Shortly before 10 a.m., divers located a red pickup truck submerged in approximately 25 feet of water in the area of the middle span of the bridge. Divers recovered two victims of this tragedy trapped within the vehicle. The victims were identified as Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes, 35 years old, of Baltimore, and Dorlian Ranial Castillo Cabrera, 26 years old, of Dundalk.
Since the bridge collapsed, just 2 workers' bodies have been recovered. On Wednesday, the family of Menor Suazo Sandoval, one of the men still missing, said they were in tremendous agony and asked officials to continue their search. This is his brother, Martin Suazo.
We were informed that the government had decided to stop the search to begin removing debris from the bridge. It means that the search for bodies is being put on the back burner. We understand that the U.S. government is losing millions of dollars because the boats are not moving, but we believe that they should not forget the suffering of the families and the 4 victims whose bodies have not yet been found. We are still waiting with faith and hope that they will find the body of our brother so that we can start the repatriation process, which is what we are most interested in.
For more, we go to Baltimore, Maryland. We're joined by Gustavo Torres, Executive Director of CASA, an immigrant rights nonprofit founded in 1986 to build solidarity with those impacted by the U.S.-backed violence in Central America. 2 of their members were killed in the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse. A Salvadoran father of 3 named Miguel Luna and a Honduran father of 2 named Menor Yasir Suazo Sandoval, whose brother you just heard. Gustavo, welcome to Democracy Now! Our deepest condolences on your loss, the CASA members, and the whole community.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Can you talk about the members of CASA who you knew, what they did, what these men were doing on the bridge, filling potholes? Tell us the story of these workers before they died.
Well, these 2 construction workers were longtime members of our CASA family, adding an even deeper layer of sorrow to this already tragic situation. Miguel Luna was from El Salvador. He left at 6:30 p.m. Monday evening for work and since has not come home. He was a husband, a father of 3, and has called Maryland his home for over 19 years. You know, Miguel loves soccer and helped the community. He was very engaged in CASA's activity. And Menor Suazo Sandoval, a second CASA member impacted by the tragedy, migrated from Honduras over 17 years ago. And he, alongside his brother Carlos, were active member of CASA as well. I remember Carlos mentioned that he was always so full of joy and brought so much humor to his family. He was a husband and father of 2, and actually his family was getting up for his birthday celebration on April 27. So they were extraordinary people engaged in CASA's activities, engaged in so many events that we have in Baltimore region area.
You've said that Menor was about to celebrate his 35th birthday on April 27th?
That is correct, yes.
The family was going to gather?
Yeah, that was the idea, to celebrate something really great with him.
Can you talk about the risks they face as construction workers and the large immigrant population of the greater Baltimore area?
The construction workers are absolutely essential. They work on the night shift to repair bridges and roads that millions of people use every day to get to work through the cities and towns. Minor and Miguel are stories of the millions that are home to Baltimore and so many other cities and countries around our country. And you know what? But this is not an isolated tragic incident. Almost a year ago, to the day of the bridge collapse, also right there in 695 in Baltimore Highway, 6 workers were killed, and 3 of them were Latinos. Again, that is the kind of situation that we face all the time with these families because, you know, after lodging, construction is the most dangerous job in the United States. Immigrants face higher injury and death rate of the job than not immigrants. And they are significantly less likely to have health insurance. So we have around, in the Washington, D.C. area and the Baltimore, we have around 130,000 immigrants that work in construction. They are the people who every single time make a difference in the families and in our communities.
The governor, Wes Moore, announced that they have, I think, requested and gotten approval from President Biden for $60 million to start the rebuilding of the bridge. Can you talk about what's happening for these families?
Well, right now, we are working with these families. Of course, they request privacy in the middle of this crisis, and we are protecting and in solidarity with the families, but they face big challenges right now, financially and also emotionally. So that is the reason why we, with other nonprofit organizations, are working with them to make sure that we provide as much as we can in coordination with the city and with the state. And in the time when there is so much hatred against the immigrant community, we look to the quiet leadership of Minor and Miguel and appreciate how they uphold our society so that Americans can live comfortably. That we believe that is so very important, that we keep protecting these families, that we keep helping these families as much as we can. And that is the reason why we are calling President Biden that it's time to provide TPS for those families and these communities. TPS, as you know, is a temporarily protected status to provide legal opportunities to these families and to these communities that work really, really hard, because immigrants like Miguel and Minor are building bridges to connect communities, not building walls to divide them. And I will tell you, to date and always, we honor them and their sacrifice.
I'm wondering if you can comment on the larger immigration debate in this country. You have President Trump once again talking about immigrants as not being human in presidential campaign fundraising events, poisoning the blood of this country. And then you have this competition between the Democrats and the Republicans when it comes to the southern border around shutting it down, the Democrats adopting the Republican proposal, and then Trump not wanting it to go forward, even though it was Republican. And so Congress didn't pass the Republican plan that the Democrats had supported. Your thoughts now are on what we can learn as these hard-working men died on the bridge.
Totally unacceptable. What, of course, Trump, we expect that and worse from him, but now we also receive the same kind of treatment from the Democratic Party. That is totally unacceptable. When the Congressional Budget Office estimates that U.S. economy will grow up to $7 trillion over the next 10 years, thanks in part to the immigration. Actually, we don't have to wait for the future to see how immigrants are strengthening the U.S. economy. In 2021, immigrants paid $525 billion in taxes, money that helps to support the nation's school, Medicaid, and Social Security. What we need right now is comprehensive immigration reform. We don't need more attacks against the immigrant community. We don't need more anti-immigrant and racist attacks the way how we are seeing right now. What we need is that both parties come together and pass comprehensive immigration reform to resolve the crisis that we face in this nation and to make sure that the nation keep benefit from these extraordinary immigrants like Miguel and mine.
Gustavo Torres, I want to thank you so much for being with us, Executive Director of CASA. 2 of CASA's members were killed in the Key Bridge collapse. Millions of enslaved people who also built this country together with immigrants, a point worth remembering as we mourn those immigrant laborers on the Key Bridge. The bridge was named after Francis Scott Key, since while watching the British Navy bombard Fort McHenry in 1814, not far from where the bridge was built in the 1970s, Key wrote the poem that would become the national anthem. His poem has 4 stanzas, the first made famous as the Star-Spangled Banner. Key was a slave owner and denounced those who fled enslavement in 1814 to fight against the United States for the British, who promised the enslaved people freedom in return. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, Key wrote in his poem, words left out of the national anthem, but which nevertheless noticeably rhyme with land of the free and home of the brave. Just an interesting fact, as this Key Bridge is rebuilt,